Hey, what's up everybody, BDL44 coming at you with another video. Alright, the day after the Lakers lost to the Houston Rockets by, I think I had to score wrong, more than 30 points. When I had my post-game video, I said it was a 30-point difference. I don't think it was. I think it was more than that. But, I just saw a stat just now on IG that really bothered me. We're the first team to have fewer threes attempted than every team we've played in the first 8 games, and a lesser percentage from 3 than all those teams as well. First team to ever do that through 8 games. We're shooting less and we're hitting a worse percentage. Even though we're limiting our attempts, the ones we're taking are still making it so that we have a less percentage than the team that we're playing against. That means we're by far the worst 3-point shooting team in the league. That's a strategy issue, man. That's a strategy issue. That could be a roster issue, but it's also a strategy issue. We gotta adjust. I hear that the Lakers are trying to make a trade to maybe bring in a star, but we probably won't be able to do that till December 9th or whatever the day would be, somewhere in that week. That would be able to trade players that we just signed in the offseason. That sucks for us, man. I hope the NBA can do something about that. I really do. I know for the players, it's better because you just signed with a team, and then to be traded right away. If I were a player, I wouldn't want that to change. Trying to get your kids settled in, to a new city, and next thing you know, you didn't sign with them, and now they trade you away because they just don't like what they see in the first 8 games of the season. I truly understand how that should be considered a disadvantage to the players, and would make it very disagreeable for them. And I sympathize with that a great deal. However, I'm ready to make some moves, man. Just the same. When I'm talking about improving my basketball team in a situation like this, where we have a 1-year window every year because of the superstar that we have in place is at 39 years of age, I need some more wiggle room to make changes sooner in that type of situation. Maybe not every situation, but when your window's this short, I don't need to wait until a third of the season is done to know that changes need to be made. If I'm going to save my season, I need to be able to make those changes sooner. And if you're going to sign with a team that has a small window like that, then that should be something you understand could be possible if you come out playing flat. So I don't know how they work that into their language. I don't know how you determine such things. But right now, I want the Lakers to be able to make a trade today if they saw one to make. And most teams aren't going to want to make a deal this soon anyway, because they're still trying to figure out who they are. Most teams aren't as unhappy with themselves as we are with ourselves. So it's not like I think that we'd probably be able to make a trade anyway. But just in case there would be one available, the fact that we have to wait this long to make it happen is a disservice to that timeline, in my humble opinion. A lot of people are calling for Darvin Ham to be fired. They don't like the decisions that he's made, and he's with the limited roster that we have. Since I've been doing this on this channel, I've had knee-jerk reactions to circumstances that ultimately probably wouldn't have had a solution behind it. If you're going to fire somebody, you got to bring somebody better in. And I don't know that too many other great candidates are out there, and I don't know that you hiring that candidate is going to bring you anything better. If your roster isn't adjusted, and then from there, does your candidate have any upside, or are you just going to want to trade them after the next 8 losses too? Or however it's been, 5 losses. So sometimes it's easy to say you want somebody out, but if you don't have a good contingency plan to bring something better in, you're going to be unhappy anyway. So that's the problem with getting rid of coaches and GMs and stuff like that. I would have fired the GM several times over, and now I don't want him gone. So sometimes it's just not best to do the knee-jerk reaction thing. It's not. With that being said, I'm just as unhappy as everybody else is, and I still have fatigue from some of the stuff I saw in the regular season last year I didn't like from Darvin. And if you guys followed me last year, you will know how critical I was of Darvin. So I don't know how to not feel that knee-jerk desire, but to not follow it is probably wise. Our team is missing a lot of people, man. And the people that we're relying upon was not ever meant to be, they were not ever meant to be relied upon. The pieces that are removed are not ever meant to be removed from the circumstance. And when you have players removed, you have to play guys out of position. You have to have guys make up for things that maybe may not be their strengths in order for your team to play well. Your identity may be characterized based on what it is that the limited players are able or not able to do. And then when you get your team back, you find out that you may plug the wrong hole by making a trade. Now you got new problems that you wouldn't have had if you just left your team alone. So sometimes it's best to trust the overall vision of your team. And maybe we're saving ourselves. The NBA is saving us from ourselves by not making trades in this circumstance. Because by the time December comes around, maybe we will have an understanding of who our team is, based on the vision that we had for it. That likely probably is a good vision if we see everybody down there at the same time. That's why having such a short timeline is such a problem, because if you only have a 1-year timeline to where you need to make changes early enough in the season, you can make the wrong change and then have the reverse effect. So all of this is in my head as I'm trying to assess whether I'm happy with the idea that we can't make trades right now, or whether or not I want to make a quick knee-jerk reaction and start firing coaches. I think at the end of the day, you just don't like how the Lakers have come out in half of these games. Half of them, they came out with good energy. The other half of these games, they came out with trash energy. And last night against the Houston Rockets, undermanned, we saw that we believed that we were going to lose before the game started, and we executed in such a way that did not compete because of it. A defeatist attitude, so to speak, before the game even started. We knew AD wasn't playing. We knew we didn't have the matchups, and we didn't see guys play their best. I think Rui Hachimura played great. D'Angelo Russell, like I said, he had a very nice shooting game, even though his defensive game wasn't great. He did have some blocks, so it would look on the stat sheet as if he played very well. Bron kind of had a, here and there kind of game. We limited his minutes. He didn't play much in the second half, that kind of thing. But players that we were hoping to see some good things from just did not play well. And Austin Reeves did not play well. Christian Wood didn't even show up. We were limited. Max Christie shot poorly. That kind of thing. Cam Reddish showed his weaknesses scoring the ball, as usual, which is becoming a problem for us. I just want coach to kind of give guys less room to make their weaknesses what is displayed, I guess is what I'm saying. Guys can make mistakes. We want guys to have confidence. But if you're a bad three-point shooter, you don't need to be taking them. And a guy like Cam Reddish, it's like he doesn't have a conscience for not taking certain shots. So when he's jacking up shots, he's just ruining our team percentage even further. Max Christie, same thing. These guys are just jacking up shots. They're not falling, man. And when you have less on the floor to make up for the mess that you're causing, the mess is going to be what's displayed only. There's no Gabe Vincent. There is no Anthony Davis cleaning up stuff. There is no quick buckets coming from a guy like Jackson Hayes. You just don't have nothing but what it is that you have. So if guys are just going to go out there, I'm going to play my game, and you have a bad game, that's really all there is. Is your bad game having so much of a reflection on what it is that your team is doing that night. And when you're going up against a team that's surging in the right direction, who has a completely new coach in place that really doesn't lose very much, if y'all notice, this is another fantastic start to an Ime Udoka situation. A different team, different situation, same result. He's winning. He is winning. I can argue he's one of the best coaches in basketball, whether you agree with what he did off the court or not. Houston made the right decision in bringing him in. And they're benefiting from that. So this is what I see there, man. That's what I see over there. I don't even think the Houston Rockets have their entire team. They don't. But I don't even think they really constructed that team as well as they would have liked to. Or I would have liked to see them do. And they still look great. Because that's what good coaching can do for you. On the other hand, when you're struggling, you're missing a lot of players. And you got Darvin Ham out there doing stuff that doesn't even make sense. Even within the limited options that you have. He got guys shooting this cold. Got guys you know, not ready defensively. I don't know what happened yesterday defensively, but I keep saying this. If you're going to leave Christian Wood in the paint to be your only rim protector, you're not going far. You have to play Castleton as if he's your starting center in that game, and you live and die with those results, because that's what's going to give you the best chance at any rim protection whatsoever, or a real center who can rebound the ball in any way. But because he believes in small ball principles, he has no problem audibling into those principles when he's shorthanded. Boom, and you get small ball results, which are usually in this league bad, man. I don't care what people tell you. I haven't seen too many teams have success running small players at all. I don't see it. It's not around, man. You show me a good small ball team. A team that can rebound the ball when they have shorter players in the basketball floor at this high of a level. Rebounding matters too much to play around with size. And when guys can just back you down and shoot over you, it's not a whole lot that you can really do. So whatever you think is going to happen in spacing the floor, which obviously ain't working for us, as I said in the stat to begin this video, you just got a hodgepodge of a mess down there that you can't clean up. I do believe that we should have got a more sturdy big man down here on top of the big men that we have. They're light in the back pocket, and if you're going up against Jokic at some point or Joel at some point, that is going to be a problem. So whatever our situation is, it's gonna end with us losing to one of those two players. Even if our team was fully healthy, you can see that coming. If they're there, we're not. That's kind of how that's going to go, because we don't have what we need to guard them, and those are MVPs. Anthony Davis ain't the answer for that. He's 40 pounds lighter than both of those human beings. It's not happening. And when you don't respect size, you will put someone out there like that thinking you're going to have success, and then you're going to get the results that I'm telling you. That's the problem. The problem is the philosophy to begin with, thinking that you can do that and then making it so that we see it as it fails. And that's been part of the problem of what I've seen in most of the games we've lost. The Orlando game that we lost, what didn't we respect? We were putting people like Austin Reeves on Paolo Banchero. What do we talk about in regards to that? Paolo Banchero is about 30 plus pounds heavier than those people. Alperen Sengun, too big. Jokic, too big. But because our team doesn't respect size the way it's supposed to, even though we have 17 championships off of the backs of tall players, every single time we had some dominant center or some dominant big man. But because, for whatever reason, this era of Lakers don't respect size in any way, believe in spacing in every way, but don't have the players on the floor to actually effectively space the damn floor, because we're the worst three-point shooting team in the league. 2 years in a row, basically. 3 years in a row, maybe. It just gets to a point where it's like, that's the problem. You don't respect size. You're leaning into the notion that you're supposed to be spacing the floor with all these little bitty shooters, and they can't shoot. One of the worst executing teams in the league, man. We cannot shoot. And you think we brought in some players that could do that, but the ones that we brought in can't do that. Or they hurt because they've been worn down in their average. And average players don't have super genetics. They can't withstand 40 minutes a game every night. Going up against super athletes, getting run past, man. I'm sick of it. Sick of it. Laker Nation is sick of it. We're tired of this, man. The problem we had with Frank Vogel was small ball bullcrap. We couldn't stand his small ball lineups. He gave us bad results after the bubble. We were one of the worst teams in the league in these same areas. You bring Darvin in, and he has those same principles. I don't know that LeBron James has these problems if he's somewhere else, man. I don't think he has these issues if he's in better situations. Obviously, other situations could be better if we don't have these problems. You see what I'm saying? I don't think Bron has these problems where he got to run with a bunch of tiny dudes. I don't think he has this problem where they don't have a legitimate big man in a lot of teams. This is a us thing. This is a Laker thing. You know, suddenly, after 17 championships of winning with big men, now we want to run small. But then, in a situation you got bring a guy like AD to your team, inexplicably expect that he's going to stay healthy. You build things around the possibility of him being healthy. Like, that's the wrong way to assess him. He's always been somebody who gets hurt. He always missed more than 35 games a season. Why would the glue of your team require him to be down there all the time? And so if the Lakers are going to make any moves to help themselves, they're going to trade for a center now. Respect the center position, man. I don't care what the modern day NBA is telling you. You can't win this way. Anthony Davis ain't never been a center, never will be a center. LeBron James is a power forward, but not with Anthony Davis next to him. Not with Anthony Davis next to him. And running LeBron at the center next to Rui Hachimura, those are two forwards, fam. Two forwards. But when you don't respect size, of course you think that's going to be fine. And you're going to get the results that come with believing that. So these are things that we just need to understand. Jackson Hayes, underdeveloped. I like him, but where is he? Hurt. Cam Reddish, good defender. Can he play any offense? No, man. He's not even an NBA level offensive talent, bro. He is in China when it comes to his offense. Taurean Prince, you want to run him like he's a superstar? Yeah, he does some good things, but get hurt. Kind of average. Guys running past him to a degree because superstars going to do that with guys like that, man. Where's Jalen Hood-Schifino? Do we really have 5 or 6 years to wait on him to become who he's going to become? No. You got to draft a player that's a little more developed than that in this situation. But you needed a point guard. Why did you need a point guard? Because you didn't have one. Why didn't you have one? See, here's the type of, and it's like if you're going to bring yourself a point guard, why would it be somebody who's this young that ain't going to be able to run at a high level yet? That's not your answer. You see what I'm saying? Like you needed a point guard, but you brought in somebody you got to wait on past this timeline. So he's actually the answer. No. And you're going to pass on a star level big guy with size who's going to score the ball, play defense, and Cam Whitmore. Pass on a guy like God, so many of them, man. Miller, who's playing great for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Hawkes, who's a big body, playing for the Miami Heat, just beat us. I mean, it's like, I like Austin Reeves, but why do we think he can defend athletes, bro? Why do we think he can defend athletes? He can flop off of athletes and draw fouls against them if they're not smart enough to realize it. But him stand in front of them? No, man. Come on, man. Stop this. Stop this. I think the Los Angeles Lakers need to try to invest in an athlete at that point guard, shooting guard position. I think a guy like Jaden Ivey, I don't know if he's developing properly or not, but at least we know he's going to develop into an athlete. Like an actual fly up and down athlete. You need that. D'Angelo Russell is the opposite of that. Complete opposite of that. And slapping him next to Austin Reeves, it's a layup line. That's the problem. It's just like putting AD and Bron next to each other in the front court. That ain't what you need. And then having all 4 of those things coming together, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? I think Rui Hachimura looks great for us. Problem is, so does everybody else. So the first thing they're going to want when it's time to make a trade is to take him. That's the first thing they're going to want. That's why you draft Cam Whitmore, because he and Cam Whitmore are pretty much the same player. It makes it easier for you to let go of Rui, if you have to. But we didn't want to do that. Vanderbilt, I like him. I like him on the contract. I think he's going to come in and help us if he's ever healthy again. So health is a big part of the problem, but the construction of this roster and what we're seeing is also a big part of the problem. And I said this when we signed Gabe Vincent, and I said this when we signed Taurean Prince. We're going to lean on those guys off of the respect of who they are. Problem is they're not good enough to match up against some of the people we're going to be matched up against. You don't want to start these dudes. You do not want to start them. You don't want them going up against the real defensive players, offensive players. You don't want that. You put a guy like Gabe Vincent in front of Kyrie Irving, what the hell are you going to do to him? Same thing Kyrie does to everybody who's average. He's going to murder him. You put KD in front of a guy like Torian Prince, what are you going to do to him? Going to eat his lunch like he's been doing for the last 8 years. It's what happens when you do this. So now you want to lean on those players of big minutes, and you get big minutes of mid. That is what has happened to us. I'm telling y'all, that's what's happened to us. And then when they get hurt, because that's what average players do, just like everybody else gets hurt, they get hurt, they go down. Now you expose what? Young players who ain't developed properly. Why? Because you put mid dudes in front of them instead of letting them start from the beginning of the season, or having players who are a little better, but not necessarily older guys be in front of them so they can compete. We just need to make some trades, man. I don't care about none of this no more. I'm telling you, I'm over this. I'm over all of this. I want to keep Rui Hachimura. I want to keep Vera Vanderbilt. Austin Reeves I would like to keep because I know what he can be, and I know we can build something better with him a part of it than what we have down there right now. Braun and AD I'm willing to keep. I like Christian Wood personally now that I've seen him. If he can show up when we need him to, I think he's a hell of a piece to keep. After that, jury's out. Jury's out, man. Max Christie, I like him, but I don't know if he holds up a big trade. Max Lewis, I like him, but I don't know that he holds up a big trade. You know what I'm saying? Some of these other guys that we brought in on 1-year deals, 2-year deals, whatever it is, I don't think they hold up no big trades for me. I don't think so. There's only about 4 or 5 players I really need on this team right now. And that's sad because I like these dudes, but they're not holding up no trade. If I see an opportunity to get better and I have to throw them in, I will. I will. I don't want to move Rui because I feel like he's a part of the solution. A big body who can score and play defense. Boom. You slide him to the side and you make him untouchable because he is what you hope to find in others. That's what needs to be understood. While we're talking about moving Rui because his contract's great, think about the piece. You need that piece. Because the problem that you have is size and defense and shot making. He's doing all of those things. So don't trade the guy who's doing all those things. Trade the guys who are not. Literally, who are not. So that's where I'm at with it, man. I want to make trades. I know I'm not supposed to be knee-jerk. I know we don't have the ability to make trades until December 12th. I think by the time December 12th comes around, a lot of things could change. Maybe these guys get a little better. Maybe guys get healthier. Maybe Braun goes down and we're horrible. I actually think the latter probably is a better bet. Horrible is the word. Not just average, not just okay. No, bad. Like bad. So like what we saw last night. If we stay on this path, by December 12th, we could be in a hole we can't dig ourselves out of. I'm just telling people right now, December 9th, whatever that week is that they finally said, okay, you can make trades, it could be over by then. Not to say over, but as in your best bet is to make the play-in tournament type crap. Right now, we're on the outside of the play-in tournament. If the season were to end right now, we don't make the playoffs. Our pick goes to the Pelicans, and they can choose whether or not they want to take it this year or next. Because that's what the AD trade did to us. Do I regret the AD trade? We got a championship out of it, so I don't think it's legal for me to say yes. That's the answer. I think it's universally frowned upon for me to say that I would rather have Darius Garland, all my picks back, the ability to suck this year and then not go to waste. You understand what I'm saying? Without AD being here. Who's not here? You understand what I'm saying? Who's not here? Good portion of time, he ain't there. How many years throughout the course of this tenure of him and Bron have we been without them throughout courses of the season that pulled us away from the playoff picture? We only have one ring with these dudes. One finals appearance with these dudes. And it's going to stay that way if we stay on this path, in my humble opinion. We ain't making the finals this year. I like AD as much as the next guy. I really do. I think he's the best defender in basketball, arguably. Him, Wembanyama, Bam, Jaren Jackson. Those are the guys in the conversation for me right now. But I'm telling you, if I can't count on him to be on the floor, and everything that we're doing has to rotate around him, and when he's removed, everything sucks, that's a big problem for me. That's a big problem. Now, there are ways to build this team so that that's not the problem. We just ain't figured it out yet. And Bron's piece is in the way because you got to pay him max money. So whatever pieces would otherwise make AD make more sense, all of that money's in Bron a lot of the time. So it's like, as I said last year, those two are hard to build around. Because AD don't want to play the center and probably isn't best for doing so. Bron does want to play the 4. So what you got is two people who want to play the 4. That's your problem. And then you got to find guards that make sense outside of the fact that they're both making max money. So what can you afford? And kind of bring pieces to them that it's hard, man. I'm telling you, it's hard. So it's like, this is not an easy core to build around. And we just going forward with it because it's respectful of Bron, it's respectful of AD. But I'm telling you, it's hard to build around them naturally. It's much easier to be able to have a center in place and a guard in place and then plug everything else. Your Joel Embiid and your Tyrese Maxey, it's easy to plug everything else. Rather than dealing with two forwards that don't want to play the position that they probably should play to make your team best. Bron, I want him at the 3. I've been saying this since he was in Cleveland. He is a 3, fam. He is a 3. Because once you move him to the 4, he doesn't have the advantages on players that he usually has. He's fast enough to keep up with threes. He's too big to run at the point guard in a lot of situations. Shooting guard position is probably best for a more lethal, pure shooter. Your 4 is somebody who helps him on the boards. Your 5 is somebody who can actually guard the Jokic's and Embiid's. AD can be your 4 if he moves his butt to the 3. And then you get your center. And a lot of people don't like that style because it's going to slow you down. Now we're playing more of a half-court set. Cool, I get it. You can move AD to the 5 now, Bron to the 4 then, and now you got a faster-paced game that can make more sense. And that's the whole dynamic. That's the problem. That's the problem. Because Bron is a 4-ish 3, AD is a 5-ish 4, you do need to remove that big piece to make those two play faster. So it's like, this is a bad way to build. I've been saying this for years. This is not a new thought. We've had this conversation. These are not the most seamless players to put together based on how the cap is set up and based on how you have to put certain things around them for it to make sense. And if you're going to fix one hole, you're going to leave open another. And if you're going to plug that hole, then you're going to leave open another. And it just doesn't balance. It never freaking did. Now, if you can count on them play 82 games, well, then that's fine. Because then you can put all kinds of different stuff around them that can be what it is that we have right now. But if they're not going to be healthy, that stuff doesn't make sense without them. I think we did a great job. I think Rob Pelinka did a fantastic job. I really believe that. I think this roster for Anthony Davis and LeBron James should, in theory, be able to give them so much depth. And you're seeing that. Unfortunately, not in the way that you need to, because the pieces that have been removed are pieces you need, even when you've done that. But the depth would, in theory, be there. We should still be able to win some games with missing so many players. But we're being put to the test in that regard because we've been depleted of all kinds of players. And what does that end up equating to? Bron never having enough. Never, ever, no matter where he's at, Cleveland, Miami, it's always a bunch of hurt people around him. I don't know if he's sick of this as much as I am, but I'm sick of it for him. I was sick of that when Wade was starting to deteriorate. I was sick of it when the Cleveland Cavaliers had issues with their injuries and only had him down there with Dellavedova. I've been sick of this crap for years. Well before he even got here, I was sick of this dynamic. It's always something where he's the only guy out there. So I can only imagine how tired he is of it. I'm tired of it for him. Years of this. Years. It's the type of stuff that makes you want to go get Mikal Bridges, make you want to go get a dude out of Golden State, just because they never get hurt. For no other reason, they never get hurt. I'm so serious. Kevon Looney and Mikal Bridges, bring them to us so that they can just be there every night. Just every night, fam. Every day we need them, they're there. They never get hurt. Those are the only players I really want to see playing with LeBron James at this point. The last person I want next to LeBron James when he's starting to have injury issues is somebody who has even more injury issues, who's even less likely to be on the floor, who's difficult to build around in and of himself because he's too small to play the 5, but probably don't play well as a 4 as he would as a 5. So now you need to, that's just a bunch of bull crap that nobody wants to have to struggle with at all, man. You don't want to struggle with these problems. And this just takes me back to the Jalen Hood-Schifino problem. It's like that dude is not the answer. I wasn't impressed with him when I was doing homework on him before the draft. If I'm being real with y'all, there were so many other players on that draft board that I liked more than him, that were still on the board when we drafted him. I was not a fan, fam. Can I be honest? I wasn't a fan. When I did my homework, I'm like, this is the least impressive guard on the list. Why is that a relevant conversation? Because we could use the attributes that those other guys that we passed on have. We could use Jaime Hawkins. We could use Cam Whitmore. We could use Clowney. We could use Smith out in Charlotte. We could use all these different guys. Sasser in Detroit. We could use all these dudes right now. But we took a dude that I know don't even have the strengths and weaknesses that are going to make this team what we need it to be. And now he's hurt, so he can't even prove that. I just really hated that pick, man. I hated it. I hated the pick, bro. I didn't mind us getting a guard. I just didn't want that dude, man. I'm not going to front. And I think most of Laker Nation feel the same damn way. It was just not... It was not the move. And now that we can't use him, when we did see him, he wasn't very good. It's just like, yo, what a waste of a pick. Especially when you know that you don't have a pick this year or potentially next year, depending on what New Orleans wants to do. It was the only pick you have potentially for the next 3 years, and you took the guy that I would have rather us pass on. Even though I knew we needed a point guard. I knew that and agree with that. And we could use a natural born point guard, one that's grown up in our system. I know that. But if it comes down to you having a 1 year window of winning, then you can't wait on him anyway. And it's the D'Lo thing. It's like D'Lo's a contract you love to trade, man, but we got to move him before he gets hurt. That's the problem with D'Lo. He's healthy right now. You can't move him till December. If we keep leaning on him the way that we're leaning on him, he ain't going to make it to December. History tells us that he's fragile. Another reason why he's not the answer, because if he's as fragile as AD and Bron are, then guess what you have? 3 of your best players are not reliable to stay on the floor for 82 games. Then Gabe Vincent comes in, played deep into June, average. Torian Prince comes in, plays deep into June, or rather played some playoff games, been in the league for several years, average. Now you're leaning on those 5 and Austin Reeves. Austin needs strong players around him, defensive players around him, which is why I want Vando and Rui to stay, because they are who's going to complement him. You see what I'm saying? Those are the pieces that are missing that we can't afford to have missing, but will come back and be good for us several years down the road. And I don't want to touch those players. Those forwards I need to keep. But where is my guard that I can trust next to Austin Reeves? Who are the guards I trust next to Austin Reeves? Gabe ain't that. D'Lo ain't that. Max may turn into that at some point. Jalen may turn into that at some point. But when is that going to happen? Now, while Bron's in his 30s, definitely not. So it's just like, man, shake this up. Bring me my damn guard. Please, bring me my guard, man. Bring me my guard that can defend and score. Bring me my guard that can get guys involved and do good things. And if you want to keep Jalen behind that player and let Jalen develop over the next 5-7 years, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Let him develop slowly, but do not throw him in saying you the answer just because we picked you up at the 16th pick and passed on all these great guys. That is not what's going to happen. He's going to disappoint you and you want to trade him anyway. Know that. If he doesn't end up having injury issues like he's already having to start his career. Know that. I don't mind we don't even play Jalen this year, to be honest with you. The way this is going, when he comes back from injury, if we have 2 guards ahead of him, I'm perfectly fine with that. Let him spend his time getting in shape and learning the ropes as a system creating playmaker, mid-range shooter. Because he don't need to come in and try to make up for what guys aren't doing. That's not his natural game anyway. So this is a lot of stuff about this roster that, like, if it were fully together and we have a healthy AD and Bron, those pieces complement AD and Bron. You see how Wood and AD look together. It's all beautiful. Problem is, AD and Bron are playing 50 games. What are you going to do for those last 30 that they're not there? What are you going to do? How do all of this stuff make sense, complementing itself and each other, when those guys that you need everything to rotate around are not reliable to stay very healthy? And look, you move AD, I'm not certain you're going to find that answer. You move Bron, I'm pretty damn certain you're not going to find that answer. It's not an easy fix. But you do have to tweak it a little bit. You do have to bring yourself somebody. Now, I know that, I've heard the name DeMar DeRozan and Alex Caruso. I think DeMar DeRozan's about to head over that hump, man. We need to be very careful with him. And I said that 2 years ago when he had an MVP-like season, so you don't want to underestimate him. But I think we're about to teeter over here as far as him going and facing off Father Time. And if that's accurate, you're not going to get the DeMar DeRozan that you thought you were getting. We need to be careful with that. I want to go younger. Like I said, Jaden Ivey's probably who I'm going after, since Detroit don't have the answer over there. They don't have a role for him like they need. He can come here and be his real self. He's not fully developed. He's going to frustrate us right now, which is why some way want to stay away from him. I get that. But I don't know how many other guards are out there that you trust. Kyrie Irving is not going to be the answer, unfortunately, in this situation. He's going to do what he does, but I think he's also starting to teeter over the Father Time. I don't know, but I think so. I think so. You can expect 22 and 7 out of him. Not playing no defense. Just a little bit better than D'Lo, basically, in terms of the production, in my humble opinion. He'll be a much better shot maker, but you better have some strong players around. If you're going to slap him next to Austin Reeves, it's going to be the same dynamic. You're not going to be happy with that. Maybe he has some 40-point games, but not enough of them to keep you where you want to go. And you ain't getting no stops. So these are things that we just have to be honest about, man. I don't know who the answer is at the guard spot. I don't know if moving on from Austin is the answer. But we better figure that part out, especially if we're not going to have adequate rim protection if AD ain't on the damn floor. You better have some strong guards. Give me a Davion Mitchell or something. I don't know. I don't think he's really an offensive scorer. You might have another one of those Cam Reddish type situations, but you're going to need someone strong down there. I've heard Marcus Smart's name. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what your answer is, but you better figure it out. LA, you had better figure it out. Or we're headed down a path that we're going to be a a bad defensive team, even with AD and Vandal on the floor. And as far as our shooting execution, you better do something there too, because if we don't find some guys that can hit some damn shots down the stretch of these basketball games, LeBron James is going to end his career with the same rings he got right now. And with all the chirping going around, I do not think he's going to be acceptable of that thought. I wouldn't. There's too much chirping going around about whether or not his career would have went the same if he went to Miami. Everybody trying to, you know, Shannon Sharp has said what he had to say in regards to him showing more love to Miami. You know what I mean? All of that stuff is just going to make LeBron want to win more. And if we can't deliver, then he would be best to try to consider if that is not something he wants to deal with us. Because he could very easily go play with Joel and not have that problem. He could very easily go play with Nikola and not have that problem. And you think either one of those teams wouldn't be happy to trade for him? They would trade for Bron, man. They would go get him from us. And if he demands himself there, we ain't getting nothing in return. So y'all better get ahead of that. Don't even make him feel that way, man. Do what you got to do to make sure he don't feel that way, or you're going to pay for it. I don't think Bron is a quitter. I don't think he wants to leave Los Angeles. I don't think he's running from the smoke or none of that. But if the team is trash, what choice would we leave him? And if he demands himself somewhere, we know how that goes. You don't get the return you want. You don't get the pretty return. If the player demands a trade and everybody knows he wants to go one place, you don't get the return. So we need to be very, very sensitive about how we're handling this season. So that's my point of view, man. That's my Laker rant for the day. As I always tell you guys, I don't feel no different. Anytime they want to stop this, we can stop this. Anytime y'all want to reset this process, we can reset. Give me a bunch of picks. Send somebody to the Knicks and give me a bunch of picks. I'm going to always be happy with a new attitude of young players. A new influx of young players in a rebuilding situation never, ever feels like a bad idea when you are not good enough to win a championship. Never. Especially when I know what's coming down the pipeline. Maybe not Wembanyama, but you got some dudes coming. And over the next 7-8 years, you're going to want them all on your team, and you ain't going to be able to get none of them because your picks ain't going to be no good. So these are the type of things the Lakers need to consider, man. You look at what these teams who are benefiting from all this. You look at the Rockets, how they beat our behind yesterday. You know why they did that? Because they had a bunch of picks and they drafted them. Look at San Antonio. You see how good they're enjoying Wembanyama? Do you know why that is? It's because they didn't mind rebuilding. You look at Orlando. You see how they beat us? You see how their future looks good and bright? All their kids going to get better at once. That's because they didn't mind rebuilding. I'm not saying we need to rebuild from where we're at. I'm just saying that what we have is not good enough to win a championship. And we are the Lakers. So if it ain't good enough to win a championship, we might as well be rebuilding, because losing is losing. Whether you're losing 0-82 or you lost in the Western Conference Finals. For us with 17 championships, losing is losing. BDL 44. I thank you all for watching.